As a bar mitzvah student or a bat mitzvah student or a b mitzvah student, you almost never want to get the portion of the week that is this week's portion. And maybe it's safe to say that almost every rabbi in the country at some point tonight will say, I wish that I had a juicier Parsha, a juicier portion to work with. I don't know, it feels like it goes in and out. Is it being amplified? It's working? No, now it's off. No, I know. There you go. Okay. The Torah in the book of Leviticus introduces us to many very odd concepts. Maybe the oddest one is called tzarat or naga. And it basically means that there's a skin affliction. And the Torah, on some level, like all of the ancients, had no idea what a skin affliction was. They didn't have any medicinal, there were no hospitals, no research centers. And so on some level, the Torah is describing a phenomena that is scary, unknown, mysterious. But it just so happens to be that this skin disease is maybe the quintessential biblical disease. It appears in the book of Leviticus over and over again. And it kind of begs the question as to why, of all the things that could have been imagined as being, surfacing, as it were, why the Torah invites us to think about the location, as it were, of the disease, of this particular affliction. It's almost the affliction of the Torah itself. And if one were to do a little bit of research onto the first place in the Torah where skin appears, you'd find it in the story in Genesis, in the Garden of Eden story. And their skin is not human skin, but animal skin. And those of you who have been in Rome for more than 5 minutes know that I'm absolutely infatuated to the point of almost studying every text on the conflation of the word skin and the word or, which means light, and how they're essentially homonyms, but different meanings, different letters, but there's something profound happening in the midrashic mind, in the rabbi's mind, in trying to make sense of skin as this remarkable moment of disease. And the rabbis connect it, interestingly enough, to lashon hara, to gossip. So what might be the conceptual connection between lashon hara and gossip? Lashon hara and skin disease. So to some extent, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while, trying to fully articulate it, but it doesn't really come together quite perfectly, so please forgive me. But there's something about gossip, which the Torah says is a violation, kind of violation of a sense of, there's something about speech and speaking ill about someone else, the violation of our fundamental connection with one another. There's something about speech that violates a fundamental oneness or a sense of being one body, one community. And I think it's something more than that. I think that there's something about the rabbis drawing some connection between spreading a rumor or saying something negative about someone else that is a kind of missing the totality of, like you're missing something, like when something's lacking in some way. That to some degree, the emergence of gossip or some other version of kind of antisocial, gossip has a social component, true. But there's something about like the Torah's desire that we speak in a good way with one another. There's something about the Torah's desire that we speak good of one another, or that we learn to see the good in one another, and that we learn to frame reality not through what's missing, but through what is here, that is fundamental to this meditation. Skin, can be a way of isolating, of separating out. The rabbis even say that, the one who separated themselves by gossiping about the other should themselves be separated. But there's something distinctively separating, of isolating, of partializing that is in gossip. To gossip is to fix someone or something at one moment, and then to let go as if you told the whole story. There's something anathema to the Jewish way of creating a happy, meaningful life that is being described. It's almost like to be able to tell a story of negativity about someone else or about oneself or about a group of people is a fundamental experience of building a world of partiality, of separation. And the antidote, to some degree, is building a world, piece by piece, of gratitude, of goodness, of appreciation, of a willingness to turn our attention not towards what is missing, but what is present. Not towards what is lacking, but towards what is already there. I had this teaching from somebody in the community a couple of weeks ago after I gave one of my many, and I will continue to give them on some level, sermons about the need to show up for one another. And of course, the sermon was not directed towards the people who had shown up. There was no need for me to give a sermon about people who were already here. It was a sermon about people who weren't here. And this person after Shabbat wrote to me and said, I get it. You miss these people. We all do. A community that used to have 400 people strong on a Friday night now has a lovely, amazing group of, I don't know how many are here, but something is lacking for someone who was there, if you were ever there. I don't know if you feel that way sometimes, maybe not. And the person really gave me a good reminder. The person said, focus on the people here. These are the people who are showing up. This is the moment to appreciate and to say thank you and to experience what's here, not what could be here. And that tension between what is here and what could be here is kind of hardwired into our brains. I was talking with a chavrut of mine, Rabbi Yafa Epstein, this morning, a dear friend and colleague, and Yafa and I were talking about this tension between the capacity to notice what's present and what's beautiful and what deserves recognition and gratitude, and what is the counterfactual. We humans are uniquely able to imagine a scenario that is better than this scenario. That's what a dream is. We want to be able to imagine that Natan Sharansky in the Gulag was not only being thankful for the fact that he was still alive, but also imagining, using his mind and his imagination to imagine a future where he would no longer be imprisoned. We imagine and use imagination to decidedly remove us from the present moment so that we might imagine a better future moment in which that will be the present and everyone will be equal and so on. We can imagine together. And so in that tension between what is and what could be, what is present and what is lacking in the other, in ourselves, the Torah has good advice. And it appears in Pirkei Avot, in the Ethics of the Fathers, chapter 4, Mishnah 1, Ben Zoma Omer, Ezehu Ashir, who is the wealthy one? Hasamech b'chalko, the one who is happy with their portion. And when I was studying this today with my chavruta, I said, I think this is the lo tachmod antidote. The antidote to coveting what someone else has. You say to yourself, I wish I had their body. I'm sure no one ever had that thought today. I wish they had their financial situation. I wish I had their life. I wish I could sing like them, play guitar like them, look like them, breathe like them, walk like them, walk like an Egyptian. Who knows? Walk like something. The comparing mind is vital for us to have an access point for standards. Were it not for the comparing mind, we would probably not know the difference between my own, like a chimpanzee knocking on a piano, and Mozart. To be able to distinguish between what is excellent and what isn't is vital. But Ezu Ashir Sameach B'Chalko means you stop monthly, daily, hourly to say, right here, right now, this is it. We pull in our minds and we say, just this, just this. And we give gratitude, we appreciate that it could be otherwise. And it could be otherwise is also a counterfactual. It also takes us out of the moment, but it brings us right back into the moment. It could be otherwise in a good way, is a dream. It could be otherwise in a recognition of gratitude is it could be otherwise. Look how it is. And so with this frame, this evening, I'd like to offer my own hakarat tov, my own gratitude. As many of you know, this coming week will be the remarkable transition from Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembering those who fell and are falling in defense of the Jewish homeland, the state of Israel, and the remarkable next day, which is Yom HaTzmaut, the day of Israeli independence. And this year in particular, it's the birthday, that is the 75th birthday of the state of Israel. And it's absolutely true that in the last couple of months, we have seen remarkably dangerous movement afoot to push through judicial reform that would fundamentally change the nature of the modern state of Israel, and how inspired so many of us have been by the move amongst those who live in the state of Israel and outside to demand that process be paused so that there can be greater collaboration and conversation amongst all of those who live there as to what the best future of the state should be. But I want to pause tonight in recognition of the need to connect before we correct, for the need for us to state what it is that we are grateful for, even as we hold off the inevitable imagining of what's not yet, the lack therein. To say to each and every one of you, as you know, that the state of Israel is a complex entity with a rich history and a very diverse society. And I want to give gratitude that even with its share of flaws and its challenges, it still has many accomplishments and reasons to be celebrated this week. And one way to approach this, everyone, is to name all of the ways it could be different. Despite the many reasons for the desire to hold back that gratitude, there is so much to be grateful for in the state of Israel. Its creation and its survival against tremendous odds. The establishment of the state in 1948 was a miracle in so many ways. It was founded on the ashes of the Holocaust, and in the face of hostile neighbors who sought to destroy it, it's found a way to persevere. It is, even with its challenges at this moment, a beacon of democracy and innovation in the Middle East. It has a vibrant economy and a thriving cultural scene, a very diverse and variegated population. It is a hub of scientific research and technological advancement. It is a place where in Tel Aviv, there are many who say it rivals Berlin for its gay culture and a sense of solidarity amongst those who serve in Israel is remarkable. It is a leader in humanitarian aid, disaster relief efforts around the world, provides assistance to people in need, regardless of their nationality or religion. And again, like the one who says something about their friend that is partially true, and yet elides over some very big, beautiful things. It's so vital for us to be able to recognize the good. It's so vital for us to be able to share and celebrate in the remarkable miracle that is our own homeland. Who could have imagined 78 years ago, 75, who could have imagined? So we're privileged. We're privileged at this moment as American Jews. We're privileged to be able to sit back and criticize, justifiably at times, importantly at times, but to recognize that mixed in with those criticisms is a tremendous amount of lashon hara, a tremendous amount of gossip, untruths, half-truths, baked truths, the kind of thing that has a life and gives it force. The Torah tells us this week that the ur sin, the fundamental error of gossip, is seeing a part instead of a whole. And the way out is to balance that with seeing what is good, what is positive, what is remarkable, what is worthy of our gratitude, of our fundamental appreciation. We owe a debt of gratitude to be able to grow up at a time when it's a given that we can go to the land of Israel. So I wanted to underscore that tonight because there is a movement afoot again in so many synagogues and temples around the country this weekend to talk about the judicial reform. And I'd like for us to hold on this week. And here's a charge to us. If you don't yet know how amazing the state of Israel is, make it your business to find out. If you don't yet know how remarkable the culture and the diversity and the liberal values that are in Israel already are, then go find out. And if you do know, if you're privileged enough to love Israel, have been there 30 times, and you're at every protest down in Washington Square, or you're in Tel Aviv, wherever you are, wonderful. Wonderful, great. This week, let's celebrate. The day after, let's protest. This week, let's appreciate. And the day after, imagine what it could yet be. I think it's possible to do both. I think it's absolutely essential that we do both. And so for those of you in this community who would like to know how you can get more involved in appreciating and celebrating the state of Israel, this entire week and next week and beyond it, there'll be activities and events in order to raise up our awareness of how lucky we are. And for those of you who want the details on when the next protest is after Yom Ha'atzmaut, that will also be made available to you as well. The dream of what things are and how they are, coupled together with a vision of how they could yet be, is a vital maturity that each and every one of us can bring. Ezehu Ashir, Hasameach V'chelko, who is wealthy? The ones who appreciate what they have. How lucky are we? Please rise.